Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports with special guest who's been on a few times, but there's Burroaks, and then as always, sponsored by Boom Fantasy and Pickett Sports. So I'll kick it to Burroaks first. Oaks, how are you? Ryan's got nothing prepared today, so he's just
Yeah,
kind of a second. He's an afterthought today.
yeah. I'm just hanging out.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I had an absolute hell of a weekend. I crushed the soccer slate. Maximized my 200% profit boost from
Yes, you
FanDuel. Put
did.
it on any two shots on target. Got that at plus 810. So yeah, that was super sick. A little disappointed that VAR took his goal away twice. The first one, yeah, he was offsides. The second one, holy shit, how the fuck does it take that long to make a decision? I was live streaming the game with my buddy, and I had enough time to roll a whole joint and light it before they gave me the VAR decision saying he was off.
I saw a still shot of when that happened, but where was the offside? I like. Did you see?
They're saying that because Fetty made a touch that advanced the ball after that, that's where the offsides came in. I think it's some old bullshit, but what are you gonna do? I'm not gonna complain about winning almost 1,300 on that game, but had that Vinny goal stood, it probably would have been closer to $3,000, and
Yeah.
I would still be blackout drunk not doing this show with you.
That's fair.
All right, so it's a give and take.
I think Ryan's plan for this show is to not really interject any sports and just get blacked out drunk in an hour that we're going to be live.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So apparently I feel like some days we should all have a drink for the show and do like a happy hour type thing with our three fans. But I do
if you
think
want, I can go get some more Fruity Pebbles and we can just get real weird. Weird like we did what was it last year during the baseball season. I think at 11 o'clock I jumped on talking shit with you guys shirtless eating Fruity Pebbles in my living room. So
That's a fact. Good time.
That's
Good
fair.
time.
I have a drink as well because I figured Ryan would be drinking. So no, I think it'd be fun. I mean, no real sports in terms of how I bet because we have a lot of college basketball, which I tailed Oaks on yesterday, and I actually had a good day betting college basketball.
I actually gave out a winner. Oh, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool of me.
For the first time, 2023, Oaks gave out a winner, and it was very special for all of us involved. But yeah, I actually had a weirdly decent day. I was bored working. I was just working because like I was here. My girlfriend works on Sundays, so we were just watching Netflix, and I was doing work, just like working on some blog posts, some other stuff. So I just started like randomly throwing like 15, 25 bucks here and there on college basketball. And I had like a good day. It was weird. I took what's it school that IUPUI, whatever it is. Apparently it's like a
Oh yeah, Illinois or no.
yeah,
Indiana,
it's like Indiana, Purdue,
Fort Wayne.
yeah, and
Indiana,
I've always heard
Purdue.
that. I always heard they're like terrible. So at halftime, I saw they were in a tie game, and I took their team total under live at half because they were shooting 71% from three in the first quarter, and the first half, and I was in my head, I was like, that doesn't really
There's
seem.
no way they keep this up.
Yeah, and I posted on the Pickett Sports, and it was under 69.5, just like a sign, and it was 67.5 on FanDuel, and someone commented like, "Oh, I'll tail on FanDuel," and I was like, actually, part of the reason I'm taking it is because of the difference, and they ended at 68, and I felt kind of bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
Dang.
Yeah, it's always sad, but yeah, I mean, that's why selfish plug here for Pickett is it's why you gotta shop the line. So it can be razor thin sometimes. Because I'm pretty sure it was like a 20-point game. That bucket meant nothing, but with like 9 seconds left, they had to go do that layup to help the shooting percentage. But yeah, it was a fun time. College basketball is fun. Usually, I can't really bet it sometimes because I have anger issues when a guy or a team shoots like 0 for 7 from the free throw line in the second half, and like they don't cover by like 2 points, and in your head you're like 1 for 13, like 1 for 13. That's what you're gonna give me.
Yeah, my heart can hardly take these
college
bets, man.
You'll love my college basketball analysis then, because number one metric for me, free throw percentage, baby.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're betting on 18-year-olds to step up and make free throws, so that's probably my number one determining factor in taking road teams to cover is if you're going to cover on the road, you better have a super high free throw percentage, because I won't trust you, especially on the road in a hostile environment, if you can't knock down your freebies.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
just shooting in general. Yesterday I was watching the Belmont Drake game, and I'm pretty sure Belmont shot like 1 for 19. I didn't have any action on it, but I was watching college basketball. And they were 1 for 19 from 3 at one point, and I was just like, oh my gosh! At what point do you take a few dribbles in? At what point do you realize that shot's not falling?
Yeah, I don't know if there is that point most games, especially like mid-major games. Yeah, it's interesting. When I first got betting in my state, college basketball was like the thing I was most excited about, and then I like lost sleep for weeks over just the beats that I had, and it's just like fuck this. And I got out pretty quickly, and then I bailed, and I just moved on to pro sports for the most part.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, to go into NBA, do we have anything to discuss really in the NBA, Ryan? That the only big news is Russell Westbrook joining the Clippers today.
Well, we could talk about the return of Philadelphia. We're back, dude. Mac McClung back on.
Mac McClung, yeah.
So Philly's back.
Yo, hold up. Did you see him wearing a fucking LA fucking FC jersey at the game too? Like, fuck that guy. If you're gonna rep Philly, you better be wearing Union gear. Like,
Yeah.
don't
I'm not mad at that
come in
take.
here with LAFC shit on.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the videos, Ryan, of people using like World Series clips of people in Philly climbing poles and like throwing beer and stuff in the streets? And it was like Mac McClung brings the championship back.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm like sitting here looking at Thursday's slate, and maybe it's because I haven't bet much NBA in a couple of days, but like it's a nice looking slate. It's a lot to look forward to. I actually really, really like betting from this point on the rest of the season. I think this is the best time for ladder plays, but you also, you can make yourself look like a complete ass sometimes, but it's kind of the nature of the game. But players pop up out of nowhere. I don't know if anybody remembers Brandon Williams for Portland last year, but like he was cashing full ladders for like a week straight, and then he kind of just disappeared into the abyss. I don't know, but like those guys pop up, and if you can catch one of these trends, man, you can make a lot of money.
You think James keeps shooting? You think James keeps firing away from three?
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, that's no what question. I'm saying. Is I agree with you there, because that's the biggest thing with post trade deadline, is to hope you could kind of get good reads of guys in new systems and try to take advantage of those lower lines.
Yeah, so I honestly, I mean, I'll certainly bet some mainstays. Like I'll have a Tatum points line here and there every once in a while, but like I think now is a good time to try to capitalize on a new situation and a quote unquote bad line, at least in my opinion. And I think this is when you're kind of like sitting in December and January, and like if a team hasn't had an injury, it can be kind of hard to find an edge in an over or under an NBA. But like now, I think there's going to be a lot of edges out there. It's just a matter of finding them. So this is go time, at least in my couple years of betting basketball. This is definitely where I've made the most money. So I'm excited and hoping to do the same again this year.
Yeah, and I kind of hinted at it a little bit with Westbrook joining the Clippers. I don't know about you. I'm interested to see his assist lines when he comes in, because that off the bench, like John Wall role they had a little bit, I mean, it has potential for guys like Westbrook to get assists. I wouldn't take him to get buckets, but like if his assist line is set low enough, I think it'd be really interesting to see, because I do think you'll see decent minutes off the bench in the just in the way how the Clippers like operate as a team. It would be a rock and a hard. I would need a good line for me to actually cave in and bet on the Clippers. Like that's really what it would come out to be, is I would just need a good line, because the Clippers are the most annoying team to bet.
They're like 13 deep at this point, of pretty decent players too. So it is going to be an absolute crapshoot trying to get them right. I actually like Eric Gordon on that team. I think Plumlee we should be able to cash a couple Plumlee lines. I think Zubac could get in foul trouble, and I think Plumlee could step up. I think he was a great addition, but man, that team goes so deep. Do you guys think there's any chance Russell starts at point guard? I would say no.
I don't think. I mean, they just have. I don't see it. I don't. And also, like, even with the Lakers, who didn't really have a point guard, still like to take him off the bench a lot. I think he's at that point in his career where, it's not even Russ slander. I just think he's at the point where he's the guy that's going to give you great minutes off the bench.
I think he'll definitely depend on how healthy the Clippers stay, because the biggest thing with the Clippers is game to game, you have no idea who the hell they're running out there on the floor.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
and which could help you if you take a guy like Russ though, because as long as he's in, he can only benefit if you get Kawhi, PG,
Yep.
insert any other person randomly sitting. But yeah, I mean that second unit with some lobs to Mayo, Plumlee, that's gonna cash some assist ladders there.
Yeah, kick out to Bones, kick out to Eric Gordon. I mean, there's definitely talent here. Ty Lue is borderline. No, I probably shouldn't say that. Never mind. Ty Lue's an asshole. I'll just kind of keep it PG-13. Ty Lue's a bit of an asshole, so that team's gonna be super difficult to bet the rest of the way. I wouldn't even be that shocked if I bet the Clippers 0 times the rest of the way. But like you said, I mean, those Russell assist lines, like if they hang the 4.5, like in their first game, it'll at least catch your attention, make you think.
Even like honestly, I in my head, I even say if I get like a plus money for even like 6.5, I would probably fire on that, like because I think you'll still see the minutes. Like it'll be interesting to see. It's almost like I couldn't bet an under. Like they would have to have a crazy line for me to bet his under in that team, for assist. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to watch. But
I think Plumlee is always an interesting guy to look at too. For a big, he pretty consistently dropped in Charlotte like 3-4 dimes. He's on my fantasy team, so I keep pretty close track on what Plumlee's been up to. But yeah, it'll be a little more interesting with them who has a big who's capable of distributing as well. I've never been a big fan of Zubac out there. So I think Plumlee gives him a nice piece down low, who's capable of scoring obviously in the paint and getting those close putback dunks, gets you a lot of rebounds, but can also move the ball pretty well for a big man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No question.
So speaking of Zubac, that really is a good segue into what I was looking into for the MLB starting back up. And I actually had a quick trivia because I actually have an MLB play. I told Ryan this.
I look forward to that.
I talked about it a little bit, but this is like the one play, and it's coming from a guy that doesn't really bet futures. So I only used about a half unit on each of these. I have 2 plays that have kind of like the similar play, but if you ever bet futures or anything else, you just know that if you go with the win total, they're going to win the division, but they're not going to get to the wins. But if you bet the division, they're going to like soar over the division wins, but there's going to be some random team that wins the division with like 100 wins. So I split my units, but this is a little trivia for you, Ryan. I told you to bring your A game. There's only one team last year at MLB. Oaks, this is fair game to you. One team last year had 3 starting pitchers have 185 innings pitched. Only one team had 3 that were able to give them 185 plus. Can you guess what team that is?
I know the answer. I'll let Oaks guess. Or at
least how do you think? Okay, interesting.
I cheated, but I didn't mean to.
How'd you cheat? I just said it a second ago.
Yeah, I know. I think Tone Stamp kind of hinted pre-show.
What
a maybe.
So what a Oaks, douche!
I don't think he meant to. But Oaks, I'll let you get a chance.
I was gonna guess the Braves. I'm not super sure. I know Strider missed a little bit of time, but pitched plenty of innings. I know they had a nice deep starting rotation of guys that I like to bet Ks on. So yeah, I'm just gonna guess the Braves and then go ahead and admit I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and the Braves. It's actually funny you bring up the Braves because I was gonna talk about the Braves as well, but apparently. Fucking Tone ruined this answer, but it's actually the Cleveland Guardians.
I think there's a decent chance I would have gotten that right because I know Cal was pretty close. I knew Tristan and Bieber were definitely over.
Bieber literally got to 200 and bounced. His last start, he got to 200 even, and it was kind of just like, all right, save it for the playoffs. But which
200 even, wow, no shit.
Yeah, it's an interesting stat, but
I can't wait to bet Tristan again.
Yeah, Tristan McKenzie became my favorite guy to bet. I think, especially because his home splits were just so good.
They were absurd, dude.
I think the Cleveland Cavaliers was one of my favorite pairings, where I would take a lot of times with McKenzie at home with the PPD market, where I would take the win, and that team was just so good at home. Yeah, and like he was just like, because like he would get the K. He just was so a big thing with him. Is he just pitched really well as well. It's not like a Hunter Green where he was just throwing 9 strikeouts, but also giving up 9 runs.
But also giving up 9 bombs.
Yeah, so he was
Not
effective
bad.
overall. But yeah, so yeah, but that's kind of where my play that I wanted to give out lies. Is
Okay.
I took Cleveland Cleveland took my NBA my back of my head. The Guardians, I took them to win the division at plus 150, which I think is a great price. And I took them over 86.5 wins.
Oh, hold on. You're gonna diss our guest just like that? That easily?
I actually, it's funny. Our friend Krusty K, Ryan,
man.
who's also a White Sox fan, I reached out to him and I asked him the same question, and he was like, "Yeah, the Sox suck. Don't worry."
Ironic, because that's what I told Ryan in the pre-show. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, if all else fails, I'll just shit talk the White Sox for being garbage.
Yeah. So the over under wins is 86.5 minus 110 on points bet. It's actually 87.5 on Caesars and some books, but so
Nice.
you get one little discount. It's at 86.5 is also on FanDuel and some other places, but I like the juice at minus 110. But yeah, I mean, in 2019, this was like a 93 win team. They sucked in 2020, but then they kind of came back a little bit in 2021. And then last year, they won 92 games. And
Yeah.
I don't think they got worse. They didn't. They only lost Hedges.
The division didn't get better. That's
yeah,
for sure. Minnesota didn't get better. White Sox didn't get better. Kansas City didn't get better.
So that's my thing, is that they get Zunino, who's kind of a horizontal catcher in terms of between last year and this year catcher play,
That's
but they bring in
power, that's for sure.
They bring in Josh Bell, and he can only make them better if you think about it with that first place. But they didn't lose anybody. They still have all their starting pitchers that give them great quality innings. And I just think plus 150 and 87 wins is so unattainable for a team that was like, I mean, they were closer than people give them credit to against the Yankees in the playoffs, and they just played really good baseball all year. And like I said, the Sox lose Abreu, Cueto, Pollock. They lose Vinny Vasquez. Vinny V's gone, so that's a big loss for the Sox. So they get a lot worse. The Twins do bring in heavy hit bats like Joey Gallo, and they actually do have one good key signing, which is Lopez. They bring him in, and I love Lopez. I'm kind of glad he's out of the Marlins there. But other than that, other than that, no one really got, quote unquote, as Oak said, better. So if I'm getting plus 150 for a team to win a division again, that I think is just the best team in that division, and there's 2 teams in that division that aren't even really qualified to win the division, because it's like the odds for the division's like plus 150, plus 220, plus 240, plus a million, plus a million. Like there's really a 3-team race.
Who's 120?
For what? I mean, no,
one team's plus 120.
No, plus 150, plus 220. For some reason, the White Sox are right there in odds. Like some books have them like plus 190, but their win total is open at 82.5, and the Twins is at 82.5. So the books are kind of saying that they believe the Guardians are 5 wins higher than these 2 teams. So getting plus 150 felt really cool for the division.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I think the White Sox offense could be pretty damn good. I think it disappointed badly last year. I think they could explode, but that seems like your only worry. I mean, Detroit, I don't see too much there. They had some young prospects that kind of struggled that might be better this year.
Some decent pitching talent too.
Casey Mise, I actually never knew how to say it, but I think he had a setback with a back injury. So like, I don't even know when the hell we'll ever see that guy, unfortunately, who was the number 1 pick, several years back. He was their number 1 prospect, huge pitching prospect. I don't even know if we see him this year. So Royals, I don't think there's anything there to worry you.
Nope.
Interesting. I like this. Is Brian with us still?
I don't know. I just have a creepy mugshot, Brian, staring off into the middle distance.
He's either very impressively, he's just statuesque. Oh, there he is. He's moving now.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I was trying to catch up.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty solid. 92 win team at plus 150 when I really could only say they got better. I think it's a marginal improvement technically, but Josh Bell, I think it's a pretty nice addition to that offense. That pitching staff stays the same, man. You're looking at a solid ass team.
Yeah, I don't want. I was just gonna.
Go ahead.
I don't know. So I was just gonna say, like, to kind of close off, is like all things equal, even if either team or both teams like are the same or just horizontal, which is kind of what you can talk about. I just think this team's a lot better than anyone else in the division. So if it's a running back situation, just to run it back for another season, I think they have a good chance.
Yeah, I like that. Good stuff. I actually haven't dug. So Virginia kind of sucks with futures, so I can't bet a lot of this stuff, unfortunately. But so I don't really dig too heavily into this. But one that caught my eye, and this is probably fairly controversial, and probably not the best thing for Yankees fans to hear, but I think Tampa Bay has a chance to win this division. Their pitching staff's fucking incredible. And their offense, you might look at it, especially if you're like a little bit more of a casual baseball fan and like, who the hell are these guys? But they're the same guys that, a lot of them batted 300 last year. There's not a lot of power there, but man, they're just so timely with everything. I don't know what the odds are, but I don't hate a sprinkle on Tampa Bay to win the AL East. I think that team is really, really good.
I like
they're the lowest payroll in baseball, and it doesn't even matter, dude. They're top to bottom one of the best organizations, regardless of money, especially at player development.
They also had some really nice speed and base runners on that team, which will only get easier with the smaller base distance this year.
Dude, that could be massive. That could be a really big change.
How many fucking throws do we see that are like, I don't know, a tenth of a second early? That tiny amount of distance on the base path does matter. Like that's the difference between being safe and out on probably 25, 30 pickoff attempts a year.
It's going to be very interesting to watch because shorter base distance, but also it's going to be interesting to see if it really helps stolen bases with the pitching clock, because a lot of the guys with these slow cadences and slow windups that you can pick on have to now speed up. So I wonder how it's going to look in terms of reading how to steal a base when you don't have Johnny Cueto taking 30 to 40 business days to like deliver a pitch.
Yeah. Or
like Rich Hill, like using his like ventilator on the side in between pitches. It's going to be very interesting to see.
It'll be interesting to see how the geriatrics adapt.
Yeah, I love Rich Hill. I think it's so funny because when I saw that hype video of Rich Hill, I loved it. Dude. That little hype video they did for him, with the Pirates, and they did that for them and Vinny. Really?
Did he take him for under 3.5 Ks the day he went off for like 11?
I forget. He actually done it like twice.
You lying bastard.
No, there was one day that he had a lot, but I don't know if it was one of his 11K days, because there was one day where he was pitching against the Guardians, who never struck out, and I was going to fade him, but it was a Sunday, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And I know for a fact that day he had 12, and I remember thinking, thank the fucking Lord I didn't take this, because I would have had to update my channel that this 43-year-old ruin this under. The under 3.5 is minus 130. I would have to explain why we paid Juice.
Why you paid 30 cents on the dollar to watch a geriatric get a career high in strikeouts against the best.
Oh man.
I will say there's nothing more humbling in the game of betting on MLB than taking under, like, and trusting a team like the Guardians or like these like low K rate teams. And then you watch it and they're swinging at like junk that's going into the dugout, and they have like 3 strikeouts in the first inning, and you're like, I trusted you guys, and you look drunk out there. Like, but
man, this conversation has me really excited. Baseball is fun, man. I love the summer of betting because I this time of year I'm scrambled because I really do want to cap a bunch of sports at once, and it's just not that wise to do it. But baseball, like, you just get to focus on baseball for the most part. I mean, there's MLS, but I'll just listen to what you say, Oaks. I don't need to go research that shit myself because you can deliver the winners. But right now I'm pulling in so many different directions, it's hard to kind of sit down and just focus on one thing. I get on props.cash and look at NBA, and 3 minutes later I'm on NHL. I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing here? But baseball, man, it's just baseball. So I'm actually really excited for the summer. I hope a lot of you guys are too. I think we'll make a lot of money this summer.
I think we had a spaces on this earlier this week. I was talking with Jut Picks, and that's what he was saying too. Is baseball is the funnest sweat because it's drawn out, and you never know what's going to happen. You can have a guy for under 3.5 strikeouts. You have you have 3 in the first inning, and they can go 5 more innings, and you can still outlast it. And then you can also have an over 4.5, and then get hooked, quote unquote hooked, after it goes 7 innings without a strikeout. And it's crazy how like stuff kind of works out into that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned beautiful summer tennis. I like it. I actually, when we started, probably roughly around the time that we started the Discord, I had to like ask somebody. I guess I can't describe it that well, but like when you look at live lines on FanDuel and there's like 2, 40, 15, or shit like that, I had to ask somebody what any of that shit meant. And like I love sports. Like it is very rare of me to have to ask a question like that. I guess ignorant, if you will. But now
you're pretty ignorant overall, though.
Yeah, that's true. Tennis is fun as shit to bet. Los in our Discord and Denim Dan, they give out quite a few bangers, and if there's nothing else to sweat, I don't mind hopping in that chat at 9 a.m. and sweating the fuck out of some guy I never heard of in my life. It's a fun sport. I gotta say the swings in tennis have got to be the craziest thing I've ever seen. A minus 1,000 in 3 minutes could be like plus 120. It's just like, what the hell happened? So
yeah,
not bad. I like it.
More than Ryan's love for tennis is I love how Ryan's giving me a lot of clippable content in the last few weeks, where I'm totally gonna go back and rewatch this and have Ryan in a quote be like, yeah, when there's nothing else to sweat, I love to get up at 9 a.m. and sweat as a guy I don't even know, and I'm just gonna clip it right there, and I'm gonna use that for other things. But to kind of wrap up the MLB talk, is we talked about these fun futures. This is another question. That's why I have for you guys. How many innings do you think Hunter Green will pitch this year? Do you think he pitched 125 innings last year? Do you think that goes up?
I do.
You 100% do. So on Caesars, like I said, these fun futures on Caesars, I found earlier today when I was actually trying to prep for once. I have a notebook. I wrote shit down.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's mostly spelling errors, but Caesars has a market where you can bet Hunter Green minus 2.5 strikeouts to Shane Bieber, and I like that. Shane Bieber is a 1K per inning guy.
Wow.
And if you give me like 150 innings of Hunter Green, I think he could cover that.
Wow, that's it. That is really interesting. What do you have? 164 last year.
About 1.3 per inning last year. So if you give me and Bieber is not a guarantee to pitch another 200 inning year. So It's just like, I think if he could stay remotely healthy, I mean, he only had 24 outings last year. If he can get me like 28, 29, that seems like a fun one.
Yeah.
For minus 2.5 to Shane. I don't know how they decide those two to have. They have like 3 futures like this. And it was this one, and the other one that was interesting is they gave a even odds plus 100 both sides. Kyle Wright, Kyle Wright to Max Fried. That one was interesting too.
To who?
It was Wright to Fried, plus 100, just pick one, and I kind of like that too for a guy as much as I like Fried. He's another guy that's not necessarily going to strike out a ton of guys. So that I think I might actually dig into some of these markets because I don't usually bet futures, but this head-to-head strikeout stuff kind of it kind of awakes like the nerd of me that likes strikeout props as much as I do. So I might look into these a little bit more.
Interesting. Somebody asked, does Cole Hamels make the Padres roster? I really love that question. Cole Hamels is very near and dear to my heart, so I sure hope so. I unfortunately don't have a prepared answer. I don't know if either of you guys do.
Cole Hamels goes to this bar in Glen Mills. I sometimes go with my dad. So if I ever see him there, yeah, I've seen him there. I've seen him there twice. And my dad does this thing where he'll take pictures from like afar and send it to me. Be like, look who's here today. I'm like, if you say just go say hi or something. He's like, nah, I could never. I'm like, Why?
Huh.
Like he's at a bar. Like he just does this thing where he just like he's the guy from You, where he just stalks him from afar. And when I see him, it's just like I don't like say anything. I'm just like, hey, what's up? Like, he Cole Hamels once came to my high school and gave an inspirational speech. And love Cole Hamels, but it was garbage. It was not good. Like someone won a contest and it like entailed that like you get to meet Cole Hamels, and somehow they turned it into Cole Hamels would give our like our speech at our school, which I don't know if Cole Hamels really signed on for, if that was all his media team, because he was talking and he was like, "You don't reach for the sky. Like the sky is the starting point. You go beyond that." And I was like, "Dude, are you high right now? Like, what are you talking about?"
I just got chills, man. I don't know.
Like that was his big thing where he was like, "That's the starting point." And I'm pretty sure he was expecting everyone to be like, "Oh shit!" And everyone was like, "Is this done? Like, I'd rather go back to class right now." So the moral of that story is you can be a great athlete, you can be a great success, does not mean you should be a motivational speaker.
Interesting. We appreciate that insight. Like the great Michael Jordan once said, the ceiling is the roof. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
You also miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's Michael Scott.
That's Michael Scott, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Michael
Shane
Scott.
Gretzky, yeah. So that segues us to missing shots. To college.
Hold on.
You don't have anything prepared, I thought.
Oh, I don't. I prepared it while we were talking.
Go for it. This is
how
wonderful.
many teams had the same record at home and on the road in MLB? How many teams?
So the Sox had to be perfect 500 last year, right? Like
they were not one of them.
Yeah. Because the Sox were nothing but 500 and mediocre last year.
They were better on the road than they were at home.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there was 3 teams with identical records on the road and at home. Let's see it.
The Sox is a good answer. Were they close though? At least
not 7 wins. Not, I guess, 7 games, if you will.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
That's not really that close. Trying to think of teams that were like really like close.
Seattle.
LA sucked on the road. I'm trying to think. I think I'm thinking of bad teams. Like I'm gonna go. Is the Rangers one? The Rangers sucked.
The Rangers is one.
Are they?
They sure are. They were 34-47 at home.
I'm just trying to think of bad teams. Like I feel like this is gonna be all bad. I think that's gonna be all bad teams. Is all I'm saying. It's like the teams that like aren't good enough to have a home field advantage. You know?
Yeah. Mets were not one of them, but I appreciate you participating. Rangers. That's good. One was a very heavily discussed team on this show.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
And then my last guess is I'm gonna go. What was the Nationals? They were shitty.
Nats. Only a 3-game difference.
Damn it.
Oaks was very close when he said Chicago, and even debatably correct.
Because the Cubs then. Yeah, got it.
He wasn't specific, but yeah, Cubs. The 3 teams had identical records.
I said it before you said it, so count it.
There you go.
2 out of 3.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, I was close to that. I do think that's one of those questions where you just have to think of who sucks evenly. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
who sucks regardless of stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's just bad, and then you go from there.
Yeah. 46 and 35 for the Guardians in both locations is pretty impressive, though.
Yeah.
I guess because Cleveland is such a weird place for home field advantage. It's like 3 guys eating a hot dog cheering for you, and
they're allowed 3 fans, though.
Yeah, they're definitely. I just decided that we gotta figure out a way for everyone to go to a Cleveland game this year. That'd be fun. Just go to a Guardians game. That's my mission.
A good 11 hours or so for me, so I'll see what I can do.
All right. Well, I'll fly you out. I won't really pay for it. I'll just say I will, and then once you're there and you're already locked in, you have to figure it out.
I like that.
But yeah. So I was gonna say beforehand, we're talking about missing shots, and I was gonna pass it over to Oaks for college basketball. Hopefully he just gives me like 5 winners right now, so I can tell something, make $1 million, and then kind of go about my week. So Oaks, what do you have for us?
Yes, sir.
Well, there's probably two really big games today that everyone's going to be focused on. The game I like the most is Kansas is heading down to Texas to take on TCU. Kansas is a great team. They're 22-5. They had a little rough spell where hold on, sorry.
It's all good.
And then the other big game is probably UC Irvine, Cal Poly, right? That's probably the other big game everyone's talking about.
Let me get to that in a second.
It's a massive game.
So Kansas had their little rough spell where they lost at Kansas State in overtime. Great game. I was watching that with Zach from Discord. We were doing a bunch with that. They lost at home to TCU and got their asses kicked 60-83. And then they lost at Baylor for 3 games in a row. That was kind of like their little, I guess I want to say, down spell. Kansas probably plays the hardest schedule of any team in college basketball. They play in the Big 12. It's hands down the toughest conference in college basketball. They played an excruciating out of conference schedule to begin the year. They're looking to run it back as national champions again. I think they have the talent to do it with Grady Dick, especially TCU's banged up. They lost their starting point guard. They lost their best rounder, who has been working his way back into the rotation. We got, a -1.5 spread here tonight for home favorites TCU. I think Kansas has the talent to get this done. They're definitely going to be looking for revenge from losing in their home building. I like Kansas here on the money line. I like them at +105, +110. For me, I don't love taking the 1.5 at -110 because a point gets you a push, a 1.5. I don't necessarily see this being a 1-point game. That said, Kansas, when they do lose, they tend to keep it within 5. But Kansas, they're ridiculous at the free throw line. They shoot just shy of 75% as a team. They have great outside shooting. They have great inside shooting. They dominate the glass. They get off after the offensive and defensive rebounds really well. They turn teams over. They force over 16 steals a game that lead to fast break opportunities and points, which is one of the best in the country. TCU have a little bit of a problem taking care of the ball. TCU force a lot of turnovers as well, but they're not going to be able to turn Kansas over a lot. Kansas has excellent ball security. So I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be rather high scoring. I would probably take a look at the overs as well, but I lean Kansas here. It's coming up on Selection Sunday. They only have 4 games left. It's Kansas time, baby.
Yeah, my uneducated college basketball self took Kansas -2 this morning, and then I saw Quan was on that, and I'm excited to hear that you're on that too, because I feel like when I look through Twitter, it's a lot of purple. A lot of purple. So
on TCU, everybody and their brother on TCU. I don't like it.
Yeah. So good deal. I've tailed. I already bet that one. But I'm glad to hear that Grady Dick is good with the ball.
Yes. Grady Dick might be going NBA first round.
He's a freshman, right? Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah.
He's good, man. I know he's a top prospect.
Yeah. Next up, we have Oklahoma State heading to West-Va. West-Va has struggled in the Big 12 this year. They are a pretty good team, even though they sit 5-12. Like I said, the Big 12 is a war zone. Oklahoma State is 16-11, and they play good ball as well. My biggest problem here is Oklahoma State does not make free throws. They shoot 71% as a team. Incredibly hard to walk into Morgantown and try and come out with a win when you shoot right around 70% from the stripe as a team.
Yeah.
That's just not going to cut it. They also don't draw a ton of free throws. Even though they don't make them, getting to the line is important because West-Va gets to the line 33 fucking times a game. They're number 2 in the country at drawing free throws. they're not great at converting them. They shoot, right around 74%, which is better, but Oklahoma State gets to the line right around 26 times a game. That's not great for a team that converts at less than, right around 70%. They are efficient with the ball when they do score. They shoot about 47% from the floor. Their best shot is their mid-range shot. They have a lot of guys who can find shots there. They rebound okay on the offensive side of the ball. They do a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball, which they're going to need because Westva is very good on the offensive glass, and they're kind of hounds on the defensive glass as well. Westva is definitely better at picking up steals. Oklahoma State is pretty reckless with the ball. They turn it over around 11 times a game. Westva is much more secure with the basketball. They can light it up from three. They're going to have to get hot and make some outside jumpers because otherwise Oklahoma State will definitely have a little bit easier of a matchup in the paint. I like Westva here at home today. I have them on a money line in a parlay, but I think this number is too big. I think Oklahoma State, if you can still catch them getting 6.5, I think over 2 full possessions is way too much. Way too many points here. Westva, I think, win this game, especially because it's in their building, but I don't think they run it up anywhere close to double digits. I think this is a 1, maybe 2 possession game. And I think if you're getting 6.5 there, that's a nice play on Oklahoma State. But for parlay purposes, I ended up just throwing Westva money line in one. And I believe Tone has a parlay if he wants to throw that up.
Interesting.
I put this parlay out in the Discord last night, right before the Boise State game tipped off. That's the one Brian cashed out on. We had Cleveland and Boise State parlayed, and then I had another 4-leg parlay that came down on Boise. So I had one more expiring boost that I needed to use on Caesars. So I threw $10 on UC Riverside money line, UC Davis money line, Westva money line, Kansas money line.
Yeah, when I first got into betting, like mid majors and college basketball and random teams was my favorite thing. I didn't necessarily win money, but I loved it. Like it was so fun, just in terms of like taking like Oral Roberts, like those teams. That was my shit. So I will definitely tail that. Like this is gonna be one of those weeks where I'm not really planning on betting, but if I see something from Oaks in the Discord that seems fun, I'd be all over that. And then if it misses, I'll just be homeless, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
As you were texting, as you were talking, Ryan texted me that Grady Dick has great ball security. So for anyone that wanted to hear that about the Kansas play from early on, I actually was laughing not because of you using Grady Dick in a sentence like that. I was actually laughing because I saw Ryan laugh. So
yeah, Grady
overall,
Dick and ball security,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a wonderful name. I can't help myself.
It really, it's one of those names that's like, it can't be fake because it's just so whatever. But yeah,
I
don't
also
actually
helps that you're a fucking baller too, because like people would be trying to roast him on that name, but it's like, yeah, but this motherfucker shoots like 40% from behind the arc. So
yeah, he's good, man.
Nah,
he's very good.
I wanted to let you get through your whole reasoning, but I'm actually glad to see you're on Kansas as well, because my timeline on Twitter today has seen it seems to be a lot of TCU love, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but there's always that weird feeling that if you see everybody on the on like the home team collectively for a college basketball game, it seems like sometimes when everyone agrees that it's like, oh, this is TCU's game, that's like, oh shit, they're down 38 at half. How did that even happen?
Yeah, I've been on the wrong end of those several times.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like you said, I really like major basketball. Like I live just off campus of Western Michigan, so like I watch a lot of MAC ball. I went and saw Western take on Kent State the other day. I've seen Toledo play here. Like I go to watch the top of the MAC teams because the top of the MAC conference is good. Those teams are always dark horses in the tournament because, the MAC winner gets an auto bid, and they're always a very tough out. So Toledo's trying to run it back for the third season as MAC regular season champions. Kent State is very tough team. Buffalo is young, but they got a lot of players. When they get hot, I've watched Buffalo shoot like 8 for 15 on transition threes in a first half before, which is absolutely fucking insane. If you've listened to these guys bitch about guys going 1 for 13 from behind the arc earlier, like watching Buffalo just hit pull-up transition 3 after pull-up transition 3 is always electric. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun. There's good money to be made, especially on some of this mid-major stuff. Like Amani Bates for Eastern Michigan is an insanely good player. He drops like 30, 32 a game or something like
Watched
that.
him many times.
And he can, dude, like there's nights he just won't show up. And then like, I'll see that Eastern Michigan is getting plus 19 and a half. And then I look and I'm like, oh, Amani Bates has a nationally televised game and they're 20-point dogs. Yeah, feed me that line. Because Amani Bates knows the fucking cameras are on him. He's like, yo, I'm stuck here in fucking Eastern Michigan, but like, you give me a national camera, I'm going to drop 35 on your ass.
I watched the game. I believe it was Ball State, and I think he had 35 or something like that. A couple games prior had 43. Man, I've tracked this guy all the way back since high school. I thought he was going to be a beast when Jalen Duran and him committed to Memphis, man. I thought that was going to be a powerhouse, and it just, I don't know, something just didn't click.
Did not work.
I've always been intrigued. I mean, I guess being 6'10", 170 is kind of difficult even in college. But man,
that's like a Ryan Props build, you know, the sink the beat.
Not anymore. When I graduated high school, I was 6'4" and about 130 pounds. But I've beefed up, if you will, to a good 220. So
there you go.
Changes in 12 years.
I will say, my biggest, like, as someone that doesn't bet a lot of college sports, I always say when I do, and when I did, as we mentioned earlier, trying to cap multiple sports, I used to be a lot bigger into college basketball, and I just kind of didn't spend time with it anymore. But that's my only thing, is that sometimes you see these games on where everyone's gonna be betting on 2 games tonight, where you can almost find value in the smaller market.
No doubt. Well, I think we lost him, but I like the point that he was trying to get at.
Yeah, Saturdays especially, dude. Like Saturdays are a fucking nightmare for me because one, I'm up at 6 a.m. doing soccer shit.
Yeah.
And then there were 153 fucking college basketball games, bro. Like, so how do you even attack the board on that?
So that brings up a good question. So as far, I can only speak to my experience, I suppose. When I cap college football, and, you know, obviously there's so many games every Saturday. I literally pick 4 games or so, and I try to just study the shit out. And do you do something similar, or do you try to bounce around I mean, obviously can't do 150, but can you do, you know?
So I try and start Friday night. So like I do box to box with McAfee. Then I watch the soccer games. As I'm watching the soccer games and those are wrapping up, I start trying to attack the Saturday college basketball board. And probably similar to what you do is I go through the various time slots and I try and find games with an edge there. So like I'll go through the noon slate and I try and break it up like that. It's like, okay, 152 games is impossible to look at that board and go, all right, cap these. Like, so I break it down. It's like, okay, I got 12 starting at noon. Of those 12 games, is there 1 or 2 I can find an edge on? And then I try and focus on that. And then I'm like, okay, you know, the 1 o'clock games are a bunch of like, you know, mid-majors or like really bad, like even, you know, borderline D2 teams. Like I don't have anything for that slate. 2 o'clock window, there's 18 games, you know, a lot of Big 12 games. I know those are tough. Like let's try and find them there. So that's kind of how I try and attack it, is go specifically by time slot. And if I get too overwhelmed with it, I just go, hey, you know what? I don't have anything for this time slot. You know, I'll look and see, like, if Will's got something, if Zach's got something, if Sidekicks Picks has something, I'll just go with what those guys say, because I just don't have time for this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 150 is just unfathomable to even consider trying. I know when I see a 10-game slate in the NBA, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine, dude. It takes a special person to cap NCAA. So shit, it's fun to hear you guys talk about it too. The analysis is impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, like the nice thing about the NCAA is because it's college, because of a bunch of different stuff. Like the nice thing is there's so many free resources out there. And college is so big, and there's so many people passionate about the college sports that it's just if you know where to look, there's tons of great free resources out there. So it's something that you can if you're looking to dip your feet into getting into sharper handicapping and finding edges and really understanding what guys like me, you, and Brian are trying to present our audience, then college is a good place to start because chances are you're going to be on a pretty level playing ground with everybody else. A $600 subscription to a fantasy thing or unabated or any of the products like there isn't giving you a huge edge when there's plenty of free resources out there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you already start the season down units if you buy something like that. So
right.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But shit, we're closing in hard on 6 p.m. There's some hockey going on. I think the first NCAA game tips off in a few minutes. So we despite there not being NBA, and unfortunately no more NFL. We still could have a lot of fun tonight. So I think we'll go ahead and cap the show. So I appreciate everybody tagging along. Burroaks, I appreciate you joining us as well and giving us some NCAA picks. We needed some picks today, and it wasn't my place to give them. And Brian gave some picks for 8 months from now. So
yeah, so
we needed some
futures.
action for the next couple hours. So appreciate you stopping on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hell yeah, dude. As always, presented by Pickett Sports and Boom Fantasy. This is Ryan and Brian Talk Sports.